So we're going to do collaborative annotations. In your annotations, the first thing you're going to do is provide an annotation that explains the portion of the text that you looked at with your first groups. Okay, so whatever you guys just talked about, each one of you is going to create an annotation for that. Okay, so you looked at one particular portion of the text with your first group, right? All of you looked at different portions of the text. So you're going to provide an annotation that explains just your portion of the text, right? And then once you've done that, you're going to look at other people's portion of the text and use the techniques for analyzing figurative language, using one of those to analyze someone else's. Yeah, so
analyze the piece that they analyze?
Yes, exactly. So Megan analyzed something different from you. Whatever she analyzed, you're going to provide your own analysis of it using one of those techniques.
And each of us does one that the other person did?
Yeah.
And we do that in the same color?
Yeah. All of your comments are in one color, so we kind of... Do we have any color conflicts over here?
What's my line? My line.
We don't know which lines you were doing. All right, give me a second.
So like we just have to like annotate whatever part that we have?
Yeah, the part that you talked about with your first group, you're just going to, on here, explain what that part meant. Once you've done that, then you're going to look at someone else's portion of the text. Yeah, one other person's portion of the text, and use one of these techniques to analyze that portion of the text.
On here?
On here, everything on based on those techniques for analyzing figurative language. Okay?
Do we let code by this then?
What's that? No, you got it. Let's keep it here for today. Okay? You can move your desks around to make it easier though. Not the section that you had to translate, the section that you had to provide explanations.
Like, for example, like this one, right? Like,
yes, you guys looked at to die, to sleep, no more, etc.
So ours was their currents turn away?
Yes, that last portion of the text.
Got it? So when we annotate, we're going to just write like the meaning of it?
You're going to write what you guys came up with for that portion of the text, and then you're going to look at someone else's portion of the text and provide your own annotation for that as well. Okay, so you're going to look at what Farnaj did.
Yeah, I understand. Like for our thing, right? When we annotate, we gotta write the meaning of our thing, or we just answer the question, both questions that we had.
You're writing the meaning for your thing. Okay. Like not the translation, but like how the figure of speech is working.
So mine was like the unexplored country, so it would be like families comparing this to the unexplored country.
Well, you know why? What meaning does that? Exactly what you were talking about over there, right? With that fear of the unknown, etc.
Mr. Martin.
Yeah, sorry, I'll be right back.
Okay, we have a misunderstanding.
Okay, each of you looked at a particular portion of the text. For example, that. You're going to annotate what you came up with for that particular portion of the text.
All right.
Once you've done that, you're going to look at another person's portion of the text and try to annotate that as well.
Makes sense.
Okay?
Was this the missing piece that you have taken off?
Not necessarily.
I don't remember what piece I had. I'm looking at the answer. I don't remember.
Do you have the note that I just gave you?
Yeah, it was about the river.
Yes. So it's this last portion
one
of
right here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have a highlight. Okay.
He added himself.
Okay, so.
Oh, so I just have it at the bottom.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, everybody does. Okay, so each one of you looked at a specific portion of the text. It looks like you looked at that portion of the text. You looked down there. You looked at the undiscovered country. Okay, you also looked at the undiscovered country. So you're going to annotate on here, you know, how the figure of speech is working, what that figurative language is doing in that particular portion of the text. Once you've gotten your annotations done, I mean, basically you're just reporting out what you did with your first group. Okay? Once you have that annotation down, you're going to look at someone else's portion of the text. Right? Maybe you'll look at Rachel's, and you'll use those techniques to try to analyze that piece of the text as well.
Oh, okay.
Okay, clear?
Yeah. Alright, so.
I remember I didn't like
You guys were looking at, you were with Stan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you were looking at the unexplored land from Note, who's
Right here, right? Oh, this? There to there?
But the key here is this. That line.
Okay.
I'm already, so I'm waiting for it to finish.
Don't wait for it. You should be writing simultaneously.
But like, how is this right like that?
Write it sideways, write it upside down. Don't let orientation be an obstacle. Question mark? Okay. So and you're looking at this one right here? Okay. So do you have your footnotes out? So fardals means burdens. You know what a burden means? Yeah, it's something that's weighing down on you, right? If I'm carrying a big burden, I'm carrying something really heavy. So who would fardals bear? Shakespeare is inverting his language, as usual. Who would bear fardals? So who would, John, this means bear? Okay. So who would carry burdens? You understand to count and sweat under your very life. So who would do this unless this? Right? What is dread? Probably won't be in there. Dread is if you dread something. Fear. So the dread of something after death. So who would carry heavy burdens, right? Unless the dread of something after death puzzles the will. And here's what we really want to look at. He describes death as the undiscovered country. Okay? And what does undiscovered mean? Kind of. Look at the footnote for it. Unexplored. Okay? So, he says, the fear of something after death, and he describes death as an unexplored country. Why would that be scary? What's scary about an unexplored country?
We've never witnessed it.
Exactly. Right? So what's he saying about death? So in other words, people would kill themselves, people would gladly accept death because life is such a good thing. But what's keeping them from accepting death? They don't know what's beyond that. Exactly. Very good. All right at the same time. We won't have time. Right upside down. That's fine. Right in there. Draw an arrow to some place that it's comfortable for you. Sunny, you need help? Okay. So, you know the footnote for undiscovered? Open up to 128.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Next page. Okay, so undiscovered. Do you know what unexplored means? What does it mean to explore something? Okay, so to explore something means to like search it out. Right? When people first came to America, right, and no Europeans lived here, they didn't know what was there. If you look at maps from that era, it's just a bunch of white space, right? So it was unexplored. No one had discovered anything about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's saying death is an undiscovered country. It is an unexplored country. Well, that's more the second part. From whose born no traveler returns. Born is frontier. Right? Death is a place that no one has explored. No one has visited. Right? Why is that frightening? When you were younger, were you afraid of the dark? Are kids sometimes afraid of the dark? Why are kids afraid of the dark? If you turn on the lights, though, so what's the difference? Yeah, when you don't know what's there, your imagination can take over, so you're afraid. We're afraid of what we don't know, what we don't understand. So why do we fear death? Exactly, right? Because no one's explored it and no one has returned from it. Does that make sense? Can you start, this is yours, right?
No, it's fine.
Oh, that's yours? Okay, can you start looking at someone else's lines?
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
This question, what causes their currents to turn away?
Okay, so,
He refers to the change of course
uh-huh.
and choosing a different path, and he compares himself to currents, as currents or rivers to show if they change their courses, they lose themselves.
Okay, good. Yeah, exactly. Now, normally, there's some obstruction like a hill or a dam or something that causes a river to change its course, right? What are the hills and dams that he's talking about?
And ambition.
Well, the ambitions are the river. The ambitions are the things that are pushing us forward. Look at this line. Thus, conscience does make cowards of it all.
Conscience.
But don't read conscience literally. Look at the footnote for conscience.
Thus conscience does make cowards.
Page 128. It's very similar to how we use conscience, but there's a slight difference.
So I choose one of the strategies and
Analyze what he said. Mm-hmm. Or sorry, analyze his lines. Yeah, you write it on here.
Knowledge and consciousness. So
Okay. So
that's not
if you're conscious and you have knowledge,
if you're aware. So
why would awareness or knowledge or consciousness redirect our passion or rob us of passion?
more about certain things, basically.
And so what do you start doing?
Being smarter.
And what do smart people do?
They change. I don't know where you're going with this.
When someone says, oh, he's really smart, what makes a person smart?
Studying.
Okay.
What makes a person smart? They're smart. They just what they know. They
Do you
know
just-
a lot.
Do they just gain a bunch of knowledge?
No, they learn.
Is it enough to know facts?
No, not really.
What makes you smart then?
Going through certain experience. Research.
Okay. And essentially, what does our translation say?
And this way thinking makes us all cowards.
Okay, so
because I guess you're saying because we're assuming it, but it's not true.
not about assumptions. I don't know, think of a really dumb animal. Do they sit there thinking about what happens after death? No. Like, I had a dog who just like, all he wanted to do was chase cats, right? Just, all he did was chase cats and ended up dying chasing a cat because that's all he could think about, right? What's the difference between that dog and Hamlet?
Hamlet thinks about it.
Hamlet thinks about it.
Scared of like
So
death, I
him
guess.
thinking about it makes him a coward.
Exactly. Thinking about stuff. Why?
Why does that make him a coward?
Yeah, why does that redirect him?
Because it makes him scared that he doesn't live the life.
Yeah, exactly. Remember when he was like kind of cursing himself in the last scene, why don't I do something? This actor just portrays all these emotions and passions and stuff that I should have, but I don't do it, right? That's him thinking about, oh, should I do it? Should I not do it? What happens? Is the ghost real? Is the ghost not real? If he didn't think so much, he could just act. Yes? Gene?
So much the founder is like, this interpretation is good, that's just what makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Put it down there. Anything clear?
Yeah, they just yeah, the last one. And the comparing sequence. People don't.
People scared is afraid of death.
Suicidal.
No way.
Okay, now we want to look at someone else's lines and try to analyze the
Hold on. Come on, man.
All right, so good. I'm seeing a piece of analysis for each one. Now you want to analyze other people's portions of text. That's what you're working on.
Yeah. Job well done. What do you think of people?
I say like the fear of death, because of the mystery of it. Nobody like knows what happened after death, and nobody come back after it.
What's that? Anybody can answer it.
Embrace.
No, his line. I'm asking him if it's like that. You can ask me too. So can I get it?
It's right here.
Yeah.
And also the last one here.
Okay, what does it mean to bear something? That won't be it. If I am bearing, what is a fardel, first of all, according to Philip? Bearing burden is? The weight that you have to carry. Okay. So who would carry the weight of life unless we accept that the second part, this whole line.
Yes.
I don't.
Oh.
Okay, guys, we will come back to this tomorrow. Please leave your chart paper where it is. I'll come around to collect it. You
Can
can
you get my
finish
paper
up
back,
your notes.
please?
You can leave your